Hey you guys, what's up? It's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel. So I would love for you guys to subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Hit the bell notification down below, and you know what time it is. Today is story time. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Avalon Decker, Her Opiate Fix, Rockin' Roberta, Cindy Moore, Bobby, both Bobbies. Who else? Let me think. All of you guys. Crystal. Who else am I seeing a lot of comments from? Ann and Ronnie Miller. All you guys. I just want to give you guys a shout out. Tell you guys how thankful I am to have you guys as subscribers. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for interacting with me. It means so much to me, you guys. Like, I love talking back and forth with you guys in the comments. Also, I'm going to put my email down below, so if any of you want to email me, we can talk. I would love to hear some of you guys' stories about your recovery and your addiction. So today's story time is going to be about, let's move my glasses, it's going to be about the last time I got high. So let me set the tone for you. The year was 2015, and about a year prior, I had my son, because my son was born on July 4th. So in 2014, my little boy was born, and when I gave birth to my son, I was highly addicted to methamphetamines and opiates. I was IV using meth and Roxy, and when I gave birth to my son, I was actually under the influence of Xanax, methadone, and methamphetamine the day I gave birth to my son. I remember whenever my son was born, I was so afraid that they were going to take him from me. I was so afraid that the hospital was going to drug test me, and they were going to, you know, take me to jail or take him away, and I would never see him again. Like, I just knew it was going to happen. And like I said, I gave birth to my son on a holiday on July 4th at 1 o'clock in the morning. So when my son was born, he was perfect. Everything about him, you guys. He came out, he was a good weight, 9 pounds, 11 ounces, 21 inches long. I could hear him crying. They cleaned him off, they brought him over to me, and they laid him on my chest, and I just held him, and he was so beautiful. They took him and they ran, you know how they do all the little tests on them to make sure that they are healthy, like they can hear and that they can see. They do this little, like, test thing on them to where it's just like a little newborn test, and then they give them back to you. So I stayed over in the hospital for 3 days after I had my baby, and I left on the 3rd day. We went home and started our life together. You know, we came back to this house, the house that we live in now, and I tried so hard to stay sober, you guys, because I had made a pact. I was like, you know, me and Neil, I'm going to get sober. I'm going to stop using. Now that I have Nate, like, it's going to help me to be able to be sober since I have a kid. I thought that responsibility would somehow motivate me to get sober, you know? It did exactly the opposite. After having Nathaniel, I went into a deep depression, postpartum depression, to the point where the first 2 or 3 weeks we were home, I took a shower, I think, once a week, if that. Like, it was like 7 days in between showers. And the only thing I could do was lay in bed and breastfeed him, and that was it. Like, it was so hard to even get out of bed to go check on him and feed him in the crib and all those things. It was so difficult. The first week that we were back out of the hospital, my mom came down and stayed with us and helped me like taught me all the things I needed to do, helped me give Nate a bath, and I was trying so hard, you guys, to do the right thing. And my mom, like I said, was here at the house with me for the whole first week. So I stayed sober that whole first week. And at that time, Neil's parents were still living in this house. So it was like we all lived together. So I had their help and their support, you know, but it was still so hard. Well, I think it was like maybe 3 weeks in, and I just couldn't take it anymore. And I went to the doctor, and they diagnosed me with postpartum depression, and they put me on Lexapro. And that helped a little bit, but I still relapsed. I relapsed and started shooting meth to keep up with everyday life. I stopped breastfeeding Nate and started giving him formula, and I stayed getting high. It's really hard for me to talk about it because I'm ashamed of it. Because, like, I love my son so much, but the desire and the want and the obsession to use drugs was so much stronger than the love. Do you understand what I mean? So, and I'm not proud of it at all. Like, I feel horrible about it. So, just, I'm sure all of you can put two and two together. For almost a whole year, I was using drugs, you know, off and on, shooting up meth and shooting Roxy's. Then I would try to get sober for a couple weeks, and then I would relapse. And it was like me and Neil together. It was just like a chaotic, just relapse, get sober, relapse, get sober. And so I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it on my own. Then one day, I noticed I had been up for like 12 days. And this is what I would do. I would stay up and I would lose my mind. I would go into these like psychotic different realms where I was just like here at my house doing things, but I was in my head somewhere else. And I noticed there was a note down on the door downstairs, and I went downstairs to check, and it was a note from the Department of Human Services, Child Protective Services. They had come by and needed to talk with me, and my heart dropped into my stomach because I knew right then what was happening. I called Neil at work and I told him, you know, like, Department of Human Services what came to the house, you know, like, I need to get a hold of them. And so I called them, and they told me that somebody had called and reported me for being neglectful and for being under the influence. So they came and they drug tested me, and I failed. And they came and drug tested Neil, and he failed. But he had a prescription. So I was like, okay, everything's going to be all right. You know, Neil can take care of Nate, and I can go to treatment. CPS wasn't having it. They told us that they would let us keep Nate as long as we, you know, started passing our drug screens and going to classes and treatment. I had to go to 30 days of treatment. And so we were like, okay, we can do that. We can do that. You know, I can do that. Then they came back the next day after talking to their supervisor and said that their supervisors changed their minds and that they had to take Nate and that he was going to have to go to foster care. They said that Neil's parents could try to get him, but it would be a process. So immediately, Neil's parents started that process. And I had to go to detox that day. But not before I used for my last time. Neil took me to meet my drug dealer. And I got a Roxy, and I did it. And then I went into detox and walked in there and stayed there for 5 days. And on the 5th day, they were going to kick me out because it was done. I was done detoxing. But it was a Sunday, and I needed to get into treatment by Monday. So I begged them to let me stay because I was like, y'all don't understand. If I leave here today, I'm going to get pills. And so they let me stay till Monday, and then I transferred from detox straight into the rehab. But this story, like talking about going and getting that pill for the last time, it makes me so ashamed of myself, because it was like my son had just got taken from me, and all I could think about was getting another Roxy. Like, the disease of addiction is so cunning, baffling, and powerful, you guys. You'll do anything. Like, I love my son. You guys see how I'm a totally different person now. I'm such a good mom. You know, I do everything I'm supposed to do, and I love my son so much. I would never do any of those things that I did when I was in my addiction. But my addiction was so strong, and the obsession to use was so strong. I couldn't fight it. I could not fight it. So I went in treatment after being in detox, and the first 2 weeks I was in treatment, I was still obsessing over using. I was taking Xanax that I had snuck in. I was having my fiance bring me Xanax up there, and then I got busted. But I think we're going to stop right there, and we'll talk about my experience in treatment tomorrow. I know this was a short story time, but I just think it's really important for you guys to know that my addiction did not care if I had kids. My addiction didn't care about anything. All I thought about in my mind when I was sick in my active addiction was getting my next fix. I look back on that Nicole now, and I can't believe that was me, you know? I'm so grateful that I don't have to live like her. And if you're struggling, you don't have to either. But I hope you guys are having a good day. I really wanted to talk to you guys about that and share that experience with you, because I'm so ashamed of it. And I feel like the more that I talk about it, the more I share that, the more I realize that how sick I was, and how strong my addiction was, and how sick and suffering. I was just downright at the bottom, you guys. Like, I would do anything. I would put my kid in harm's way just to get my last fix. And that's why he was taken from me, and I deserved that. And I'm so grateful that I snapped out of it. Like, I'm so grateful that that clarity came. I don't know when. I kind of know when, and we'll talk about that tomorrow, but there was a moment where everything shifted, and that's what I want to talk to you guys about tomorrow. But I really do appreciate every one of you that's subscribed to my channel. It really means so much to me, and I am just getting so motivated every time I see you guys on there talking. It just helps me so much. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for supporting me in my recovery. It means so much to me, and you guys help me more than you'll ever know. You guys help me so much. So thank you. I'll see you guys tomorrow for story time.